Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Erin and for today's video I'm going to be trying horror manga. So I have read one horror manga before and that was Tomi by Jinji Ito, which I feel like is not a light way to introduce yourself to horror manga, given how notoriously horrific Junji Ito's manga tends to be. But with that, I found out that I really enjoyed it. So in this video, I'm going to be trying 5 other volumes of manga. A couple of them are by Jinji Ito, because how could I do this vlog without reading more of his work? But then we have 3 others that are not. So the one that you just saw, Death Note, Volume 1 of the Black Edition. So this is technically Volumes 1 and 2 in the series. This is by Sugumi Oba, and I started it a while ago, but I'm gonna need to restart it. This I don't really know much about, but I know people love this manga. And I asked one of my friends who had already read this if they would consider it horror, and they said yes, so I'm including it in this vlog. And my goal with this vlog is to kind of go through and rank how horrific everything is and any other like rankings I come up with, if it's like super scary, if it's super gory, etc, etc. Then maybe if you're interested in trying horror manga but you kind of want to start lighter because you're a little scared, because the genre can be intimidating. Horror, it's scary, obviously. And I'm a big scaredy cat, so like if I'm saying something's not that bad, I feel like you can trust me on that. I hope that I'm a trustworthy person. I don't want you guys to be like, oh, Erin said this is great and it actually sucked. So I'm gonna be giving like different ratings for each of them, and also at the end I'm going to go ahead and rank them on like least horrific to most horrific, so that depending on like where you're at in your horror manga journey, you can kind of see what you're looking for. So let's talk about the other books. My goal is to have this video up by Saturday. It's currently Tuesday and I want to read like 1 a day. Since yesterday was Monday, I need to read 2 today, and I also have a bunch of other things that I need to read, so I'm a little stressed out, but it's fine. We're gonna make it happen. The other ones that aren't Jinji Ito are Tokyo Ghoul Volume 1 by Suicida. This is about ghouls. Also, I'm just kind of assuming that these are horror manga. I think that they are, but I guess that's what the ranking and ratings will be for later on in this video. And then I have Happiness Volume 1. I'm pretty sure this is a vampire horror manga. I think this is the one that I'm like the most excited to read. This has the prettiest cover in my opinion. They all have stunning covers, but this one, I don't know why, it's my favorite. I cannot stop staring at it. And then the 2 Jinji Ito books, we have Ramina, which I think is his most recent release, or it's like very recent. I think it came out in like December, and then maybe he had a short story collection come out after that, so it might not be his most recent, but it is pretty recent. This is about a planet that randomly like shows up and it's eating other planets, and it's named after this guy's daughter, and then they're wondering if the planet is somehow attached to his daughter. So yeah, it's pretty short. I definitely think that getting this done in a day will be no problem, since I read like half of Tomi in 1 day. And then the last book, and the last Jinji Ito book that I want to read in this vlog anyway, not ever, definitely not, is Venus in the Blind Spot. I also think that this cover is so like freaking cool, but I have no idea what this one is about, honestly. But I am really excited. Oh, I saw color. Oh, there's color. Oh my god, there's color. That is so cool. If you've never read manga before, it's typically just black and white. There's color. I'm trying to like show you quickly so that it doesn't spoil it for you or for me. So yeah, that's what this video is going to be. I will update you when I finish each of these, because they're all pretty short, so I feel like updating you midway through would be kind of pointless. But if there is something to update you on, then I'm definitely going to do that. I'll update you once I'm finished with each of these vlogs, and then there will be a final wrap up at the end of this video. If I feel like there's something worth updating in the middle of reading them, then I'll definitely do that. But since they're all pretty short, I don't imagine that there will be tons to update you on. But I'm really excited. So yes, this is gonna be fun. I've really been wanting to get more into the horror manga genre, so I'm super excited. Or I guess it's a subgenre, maybe. I don't know. Either way. So yes, I'm gonna go do a bunch of other stuff that I need to do, but I will come back to you later today with thoughts on one of these. I have no idea which one I'm gonna start with. I don't think it's gonna be Death Note, just because that one's the longest and I have so much to do today. I have a feeling it will probably be Happiness or Tokyo Ghoul. So I think I'll start with those two. Don't you just love when you put on lip gloss and then your hair sticks to your lips? Or is that just like a me thing? And when you put on mascara and your hair sticks in your eyelashes? I think I just need to go bald, honestly. My hair causes so many problems. I would love it if we could ignore this. Sorry, it's been a day. So if we could just ignore my presence right now. My presence? No, I mean, you kind of have to hear what I have to say. Unless you don't want to, I guess. But like, let's ignore my appearance. I know it's not great. This is what we're working with. Anyway, it's the next day. I didn't manage to start any of the horror manga yesterday like I really wanted to, but I just finished the first volume for this reading vlog, and I read Happiness Volume 1 by Shuzo Oshimi. I don't think I pronounced that right. I'm so sorry. So I went into this completely blind. All I knew about it was that it was a vampire manga, and it's the first of a few. I think there are maybe like 10 out right now, but I didn't do much research at all on this, so I have no idea, but I am going to continue. I guess we'll start with my rating. I rated this 4 out of 5 stars. On the back, it says it's like rated for 16 plus, and I would agree with that, just because I don't want to say that there's mature content in here, but there are some insinuations that I don't think are necessarily appropriate for younger audiences, and like it's a little weird at moments. So I don't think it's a spoiler to say that the main character gets bitten. Obviously, he becomes a vampire. This is a vampire manga. It happens pretty early on in this, and this is the first volume of many. And if you know anything about vampires, they like blood. So a lot of the stereotypical traits that a vampire has, he develops. So sensitivity to sunlight, he thrives during nighttime, he can smell blood, and he gets like really, really thirsty for that. Just those kinds of things. I think he has like strength and he's really good at jumping. So just those kinds of things. The only thing that was like a little bit weird for me while reading this was, since this takes place when he's in high school, he's a freshman in high school, these girls have their periods after he got bitten, and he could smell it and like was hungry, and that was just like a little odd to me, just because it was like, like I get it, but at the same time, it was kind of questionable. But either way, I still really enjoyed this. I am going to continue on with the series. I wouldn't say that this is super gory or horrific starting with this volume, but I will continue on with the series and update you in wrap-ups and stuff like that. Or maybe I'll do a part 2 where I continue on with one series and kind of rate it at the end, and I don't know. Maybe that could be cool, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't think that this is super gory. If I had to rate it out of like a 5 on gore being like you see everything and guts and gross, I would say it's like a 1.5, because there is a little bit of blood, obviously, and there's like a little bit of fighting in here, so someone like gets punched in the nose and they start bleeding, but it's not super graphic, especially not in the way that graphic novels are, where they're in color, so it's like really, really hard to see. This is all black and white, so I don't think that's bad at all. I don't think that it was super scary either. I would rate it like a 1 out of 5 on scary level. I think that the story is really interesting. I would rate that a 4 out of 5. So if you're just getting into like horror manga, I don't know if this one at least is necessarily horror, but I can see how it sets up to be more horrific for the rest of the series. But this one by itself, since this is the only one that I've read, I think would be very beginner friendly if you want to slowly introduce yourself to the genre and you don't want to scare yourself too much. I think that's totally valid and understandable. So yeah, I think this will probably be at like #1 spot for beginner friendly and the bottom of the poll for like scary, horrific. So yeah, I feel like this is the most beginner friendly, but it's the only one I've read, so that could change. Right now I'm going to hop on sprints with some of my friends on Discord, and I might read Tokyo Ghoul Volume 1. If I do, I don't know that I will be updating you tonight. I also might just pick this up tomorrow and also pick up the 2 Jinji Ito books tomorrow, and then I would only have Death Note to read, and I might just read the Inheritance games because I'm like addicted to it right now. But that's not important to this vlog. So either way, I will check in with you guys tomorrow when I have read more of the manga. I should be way farther in it at this point in time, but it's fine. We're gonna get it done by Saturday. It's gonna be fine. Okay, it is currently Thursday, March 4th, and I just finished Tokyo Ghoul Volume 1. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about all of my different ratings for this book. First and foremost, my overall rating, what you'll see on Goodreads, 5 out of 5 stars. I feel like this was such an epic start to a series, like definitely one of the best intros to a manga series that I've ever read. Not that I've read very much manga, so I don't have like really a leg to stand on in that regard, and most of the manga that I do read is shoujo manga, so it's not your typical horror manga, but I still really loved this. I completely understand the hype, and I am definitely going to be continuing on with the series. So if you don't know what this one is about, it's about this guy named Ken Kaneki, and he goes on a date with this girl, and she turns out to be a ghoul. Something happens, he becomes a ghoul himself, but he's only like half ghoul, so he's not really sure where he fits in, and he's just kind of adapting to everything that like is ghoul life. He's really confused because he obviously wasn't a ghoul, so he doesn't know really what's going on with him. This was also the first ghoul story that I've ever read, so I think that it was really cool to learn about them. And something that was different from Happiness, other than the fact that they're completely different stories about different creatures, is that in this book humans know ghouls exist and like it's talked about on the news and stuff, as opposed to Happiness where like the person got attacked but nobody had any idea that it was a vampire. So I thought that that was really interesting. As far as gore in this one, I would rate this probably like a 3.75 to a 4 out of 5 on gore level. This one is a lot more gory, but I don't think that it's terrible. Again, I feel like if you were to read a graphic novel, like a horror graphic novel, that would probably be a lot more triggering with all of the blood and everything because it's in color. But I feel like for manga, it's a little bit easier to dissociate all of that. But I was still, this is pretty gory. They're eating humans, so I mean, I don't know what you expect. Scariness, I wouldn't say that this is scary. I'd probably rate that 1 out of 5. Suspenseful, I would probably put it at like a 3.5 out of 5. And that's just for this first volume. So overall, 5 out of 5 stars. I love the plot. 4 out of 5 for how gory it is and suspense. It's more suspenseful rather than scary, in my opinion. But it's not like a thriller either, if that makes sense. So I think that this, if you're okay with a little bit more gore, is also a really good place to start for horror manga. I think that this is really beginner friendly, and in future volumes this one sets it up so that you learn with the character a lot about like ghouls and how everything is going to work in that regard. So I think, again, like, you're not expected to know a ton about anything that's going on, which I really liked because I didn't know anything. But yeah, I'm excited to continue on with this series. It's gonna be so fun. So right now, I think I'm going to dive into Ramina by Jinji Ito. It's currently 3 p.m. and I'm supposed to have reading sprints right now on Discord, but they got moved to 6 p.m. So I'm gonna try and read this and maybe start Venus in the Blind Spot, but I might save that for this evening or even tomorrow morning. So yeah, I'm going to start Romina, hopefully finish it, and then edit these clips for this vlog, maybe edit my February wrap up quickly, and then on the reading sprints, I'm gonna be reading something totally different because I want to be able to update you right after I finish everything, and I don't want to keep leaving the reading sprints voice chat over and over again to vlog. So that's the plan, and I will come talk to you in about an hour or so when I finish this. As far as the length of time that it took me to read everything so far, in case that's something people are interested in, Happiness Volume 1 took me around 25 minutes, and Tokyo Ghoul took me about 45 minutes. It was a lot longer and the art was a lot more intricate. Well, it wasn't a lot longer, but I think that there was a lot more dialogue happening and the art was a lot more intricate than Happiness. But I love the art style in both. Time to start Jinji Ito. I know this is gonna be like 5 out of 5 for gore, so wish me luck. All right, so it's about an hour or so, I think, later, and I have finished Ramina, and it's my least favorite book of this entire vlog. Yeah, it's my least favorite of this whole vlog, but that is solely that is solely based on plot. So I gave this 3 stars. It wasn't bad by any means. And as far as horror manga goes, it's very horrific and good in that sense. It just, like, this wasn't the plot for me, and that's totally fine. This was around 250 pages, and as far as gore goes, I would rate this, like, gore and creepy mixed together, I would give it about a 4. It's definitely not as horrific as Tomi, which, like, this girl is destroying her body and it's like coming, like heads are popping out of other parts of her body, and like it was really gory and creepy. This was also the scariest one of the books that I read. If you don't like natural disasters or end of the world type stuff, don't read this one because it deals a lot with that. But yeah, it was definitely the scariest one, and it wasn't like jump scares. It was like, oh my god, the world is ending. That's terrifying. But that's also just something that, like, that's one of my fears, is like, I'm gonna be around for the end of the world. That's probably why this messed with my head as much as it did. So yeah, so it was eerie, I guess, more than scary, but I like was still scared. My heartbeat picked up a little bit in the middle of it. So for that, I would give it, like, now my dog's chewing on a bone, so sorry if you can hear that. You can definitely hear it. Sorry about the noise. I would give it like a 3.5 for scariness. Also, there was a decent amount of torture in this book, so if you don't like that, skip this one. It was interesting for sure. This one is basically about a planet that comes out of nowhere, and the scientist names it after his daughter. And people think that there is a link between the planet, because the planet starts coming after all of the other planets and eating them, basically, and then it's coming straight for Earth. So they think that if they kill this girl, then Earth will survive, and Romina will, that's the name of the planet and the girl, but Romina the planet will leave Earth alone and they can survive. It was a very interesting premise. I would probably reread it. It was very intriguing, but yeah, it was really creepy. So I don't know when I would reread this, but if I want to be scared, I'll pick this up. I think that's all of the reading I'm going to do today for this vlog. I will check in with you tomorrow to read the last 2 books, which are Venus in the Blind Spot by Jinji Ito and Death Note Volume 1 of the Black Edition by the author who I cannot remember, nor can I ever pronounce their name when it's right in front of me and I can read it. So I'm not gonna try, sorry. Okay, so I just finished Venus in the Blind Spot by Jinji Ito, and it turns out that this one is a short story collection, both of Jinji Ito's works as well as a couple of other authors. Overall, I would give this short story collection a 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed a decent amount of the poems. I did find a couple of them to be boring, like really boring. Specifically, like the second to last one was super boring to me because it was only like 4 pages. But what was really cool about this was that there were some pages that were in color, and if you don't typically read manga, it's typically just black and white, so that was really cool. But yeah, I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. Some of them were really creepy, and I like read one part that like grossed me out. I will insert a clip of my reaction to that now. So there was that. The human chair was definitely the creepiest to me, the most disturbing. It wasn't really gory, it was just like, oh, that's gross. Pretty much the entire way through, but I liked it. Not because like I enjoyed it, but it's a horror manga, so it's supposed to be unsettling. I wouldn't say that any of these are super duper gory. As a whole, I would say that this is 1 out of 5 on gore. The most gory one, in my opinion, was Licking Woman, just because there's this giant tongue and it's gross, and the things that happen in it, the reactions, if you will. I'm trying not to spoil anything, but the reactions, ugh, gross, gross, gross. But I still really enjoyed this. I would highly recommend this. I loved that I was able to read a Jinji Ito short story collection, because this is my first of his short stories where it's not just one straight thing all the way through. I don't know when I'm going to be reading Death Note. My goal is to have this video up. I've decided I'm gonna post it on Sunday, so I might wait until tomorrow to do that, but I am loving this. I would say that this one, for my enjoyment, probably goes in the middle. I read this one a lot slower for some reason. I would say that this is above Ramina and Happiness, so I probably enjoyed this. This is my second favorite of the ones that I've read so far. So Tokyo Ghoul was my favorite, but it wasn't very horror-esque in my opinion. This is my second favorite, then Romina, and then Happiness. But they're all like... Hi, I'm editing this. It's the day that it's supposed to be posted, so we love that for me. I don't know what happened. It obviously cut me off and didn't let me keep talking, and I didn't notice. And I have since forgotten what I said about the rest of this, so I apologize, but enjoy the next clip where I wrap up my thoughts and hopefully summarize what I said for the rest of this clip as well. Okay, so it is now technically it's Sunday morning, and it's like 2 o'clock in the morning, and yesterday at 2 o'clock in the morning I finished Death Note Volume 1 of the Black Edition, and I gave it 5 stars, so let's talk about it. I think that this is horror, but not in the sense of gore. So if you don't know what this is about, basically it's about this kid named Light Yagami, and he stumbles upon this death note one day, and a death note is from a death god called a Shinigami, I think is how you pronounce that, and they write a human's name in there, and if you don't write the way that they die in 40 seconds, then they will just die of a heart attack. If you write the way that they die, and then if you write the way that they die within those 40 seconds, then you have 6 minutes and 40 seconds after that to write the specific details leading up to their death, etc., etc. There are a bunch of other rules as well, but those are like the basics. Light stumbles upon this, takes it, wants to see if it works, so he starts killing off criminals. He figures out that it does indeed work, and he decides that he is going to he takes it upon himself to create a utopia in the world by killing off the world's most dangerous criminals, and then after all of those criminals are gone, he is going to kill the people that start doing bad things, and eventually they'll catch on that someone is doing this, and they'll stop behaving badly, and only the good people will be left. But by doing that, he himself is a murderer and a criminal. So this whole police force, like worldwide, starts coming after him and targeting him with this other guy named L. Also, there's a Shinigami that hangs out with Light, and Light is the only one that can see him. The Shinigami's name, which is a death god, I don't remember if I said that, his name is Ryuk, I think is how you pronounce it. Him and Light kind of become friends, but basically it's L versus Light. and they're trying to like outsmart each other. I loved how smart both of the boys in this book are. They're so intelligent, it's insane, and it kind of like makes you question what happens when someone has good intentions and they're trying to be a good person, kinda, but they're doing a really, really bad thing to achieve those ends. So it's very, very interesting. I loved it. Like I said, I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I need the next one immediately. Yeah, but I would say that it's not like scary with jump scares or anything. It's not gory at all, but I would say that this is kind of horror because it's not scary like jump scares, like, oh, I wasn't expecting that, but it's terrifying because it's like this world is really messed up, and some people do think that they're gonna like save the world by doing something that's not so great in the name of the greater good. And like, obviously it's not to this extent because this is a fantasy manga. There's no death note in our world. A death note has not fallen on Earth. So I loved this. Definitely going to continue on. I think that, I don't know if this one is honestly super beginner friendly because I picked this up very close to when I started reading manga, and I stopped about 60 pages in because I was very confused with all of the characters and everything, and just what was happening. But it's also a really lengthy one and it's fantasy, so I don't know. To me, this might not be a great introduction to manga in general, especially because of like its length, the different characters, the fantasy element of it all. But as far as like horror manga, if you're not into things that will legitimately scare you and like keep you up at night, this one I think is a good one. It's just more thought-provoking and like, whoa, like what if this happened? And obviously, like I said, it can't, but I don't know, just like that psychological horror, I guess, if you will. So let's get to my final ranking of everything. My favorite of the books that I read for this video was for sure Tokyo Ghoul by Suicida, and I cannot wait to continue on with this series. Unfortunately, volumes 2 and 3 are pretty much sold out everywhere, and I'm dying inside because I need the next few volumes ASAP. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. This one is, I would say, like moderate gore, and also very beginner friendly. It's not super scary. I would say it's like a 1.5 out of 5 for scary, thrilling kind of things. And obviously I'm only rating the specific volumes that I've read. I cannot speak for the whole series and how it will continue. So I just want to, again, make that really, really clear that I don't know what's going to happen in the rest of these volumes. So I could be totally wrong. And this could end up being the goriest, scariest manga series you've ever read in your life. But I don't know that yet. So I'm just talking about these ones. But yeah, 5 out of 5 stars. This one was for sure my favorite. Not super gory, not super like scary, but the plot was so. My next favorite was Death Note, volume 1 of the Black Edition, which is the first 2 volumes. I love, love, love these characters. Not gory at all, not like jump scary at all, just kind of psychological, messes with your head a little bit at the idea of everything that's being put out in front of you. And again, I gave this one a 5 out of 5 stars as well. Third in line is Venus in the Blind Spot by Jinji Ito. This is a short story collection of his work, as well as a couple of other mangakans' work, or I don't know if they're necessarily mangakans and he just adapted their stories into manga and added the art. I'm not 100% sure, but either way, there are other people's stories in here as well. There are a couple of them. I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed most of the stories, but not all of them, specifically the shorter ones. A couple of them in here were pretty gory. I would say like 3.75 out of 5 on gore, and one of them was definitely really, really like scary. I would rate it a 5 out of 5 for like scary. I had chills while I was reading it, so I don't know that I would recommend this for like getting straight into horror manga because it is like a little bit more gory and stuff. But if you're comfortable with that and you don't need to work up to that, then I would say that this is a great place to start, especially because these are short stories, so you can just read a couple at a time if that's all you want to do, and then pick it back up at a later time. And the art style is really great and easy to follow in all of Jinji Ito's work as well. Coming in at 4th place, we have Happiness Volume 1 by Shuzo Oshimi. I think I gave this 3 stars, maybe I gave it 4 stars, I don't really remember honestly. This one is a vampire manga. It's not very gory, there is a little bit of blood, but I don't think that it's terrible. It's definitely not as gory as anything by Jinji Ito, but it's also not as gory as Tokyo Ghoul. It's like a step down from that, and I don't think that Tokyo Ghoul was super gory either, I'm just saying. I also don't think that this one is super scary, so if, like I said, you're trying to ease your way into it, this is a good start for that. Also, if you like Tokyo Ghoul and that premise, this is pretty much very, very similar, but with vampires. So if you're looking for something like that, there's this. And like I said, I'm only speaking for the first volumes. They're set up very, very similarly, but I really liked them and I liked the art style for both as well. Plus, I think this one is the shortest one of all of them that I read. So if that's something that's important to you. And last, the one that I was not expecting to be last at all, was Ramina by Jinji Ito. This one is another like more psychological horror. I think that this one was honestly the scariest. I think that Venus in the Blind Spot was the most gory just because there were certain stories in there where like bodies were tied up together and parts of the body were dismembered, different things like that. And obviously that happens in Tokyo Ghoul too, but they're like eating them. In the other one, it's just kind of like people are cutting each other up and like leaving them there. So I would say that this one is kind of like science fiction horror, which is really interesting because it's about a planet coming to destroy our solar system and eventually Earth as well. And this one terrified me with the concept of it because like, what if that did happen? Like, we have no reason to believe that it's going to happen, but like, maybe it could. Like, we don't know what kind of planets are out there. That would be terrifying. Also, there's like a sacrifice in here, so content warning for that if that's something you want to steer clear of. But yeah, I gave this 3 stars. It wasn't bad, and it's not super gory at all. It's just kind of, like I said, psychological. And like I said, it's not bad at all. It's just not my favorite, and I've read better from him. That is it for this video. I read 5 different volumes of horror manga, or I guess 6 if you include the 2 that I technically read for Death Note bound up as 1. And I had such a great time doing it. I am so thrilled to be exploring more into this genre. If you want me to do more videos like this, whether it be like more horror manga, shoujo manga, etc., let me know and I would be happy to. Or fantasy manga. Isn't shonen the one that's like for boys? That's like how you tell the difference. So whatever, I would totally be down to do it. And let me know if you have any recommendations for me to read, because I genuinely really, really love manga and I want more recommendations. There are a few that I really want to pick up. I just haven't yet. It is on my to-do list though, like Beastars, Ibitsu, Attack on Titan, My Hero Academia, Full Metal Alchemist. Those are definitely high up on my radar, but if you have any more recommendations, please leave them in the comments below. I love talking to you guys and getting your recommendations and hearing what you love, so that would mean the world to me. But yeah, hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that it was helpful. Let me know if you pick up any of these and what you think of them. I hope that you're all doing well, reading mentally and otherwise, and I really hope to see you all in my next video. Bye guys.